for the YouTube subscribers. Well, subscribe already. Hit the fucking like button and subscribe before I knock your ass out, man. I ain't fucking with you, man.
UFC 272 live from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. We will have a packed crowd for this big main event. Who will win the Battle of Miami, the King of the Miami? We will find out. I've been waiting for this fight for a long time, guys. It's been years since I've been waiting for this fight, so I am excited for it. It's finally happened this weekend. Overall, the card's not that great for a pay-per-view card. It's obviously main event heavy, in my opinion. A couple other good fights, don't get me wrong, but I'll be breaking down the main card like usual. Change in the co-main event, I'll go over that as well, provide some free picks like I always do, and some leans, maybe what to avoid as well. You want my full card, you want my client card for this weekend and all sports, head over to systemsportscapping.com to receive all my personal plays, client list is growing each day, each month. I want to give a big shout out to all my clients. I know not all you guys watch it. Some of you guys just wait for my emails. I get it, but for the ones that do watch it, just appreciate your support. We're growing continuously here at the system, and just big shout out to you guys, and big shout out for the video viewers as well that keep me wanting to do this and give you free winners all the time. Guys, like this video; it helps me out a lot. Comment, share. I've been getting more views as of late. I do thank Cheyenne for that, promoting on her page. That's helping a little bit as well. And just getting around through the social media. It's all about marketing and branding yourself, and that's what I think I've been able to do the past little while here. So winning helps as well, and that's what we do over here in the system. Running hot right now, guys. Running hot in the UFC right now. 16-2, all fights run. Hit both plays last week. We did put in a 2-fight parlay due to the high juice. You can't bet those straight. When they're so high, you put them in a 2-fight parlay. You get plus money or even money. Most I'll do is minus 110. Makhachev and Green doesn't go the distance. Easy win there. I'd finish in the first round. You couldn't bet Makhachev, right? Even if you laid an outcome minus 250, just not a smart bet. I can't lay an outcome at minus money. So I'm willing to lay the minus money for the fight not to go to the distance when it's a 5-round and it's those two guys. So we parlayed that up with Arman Tsarukyan, the Armenian. Easy win for him. He cut Alvarez easy. Quick grappling display by him, and he was able to cut him with an elbow. And Alvarez had no chance in that fight due to the grappling and wrestling. I've seen some guys on Alvarez. I didn't get it. Arman, very good fighter. I could see him fighting for the title one day. He's still young. I could definitely see him fighting for the title one day. So definitely looking forward to his next fight. There was a small betting card last week, just those two fights. And when you're on a run like this, there's going to be some betting advice. I'm going to add some betting advice to maybe not every video, because it's hard to have betting advice maybe for every single video, but starting here, and it's going to be a regression segment here. I'm just going to go quickly over a couple points here. When you're on a big run like this, and it's not just the UFC that I'm in a big run, it's all sports. When you're on a big all sports run, you want to limit your volume. That's what I find over the years of handicapping. I'm not a heavy volume guy anyways. At least day to day. I'll have heavy volume sometimes for UFC cards or for PGA cards, and especially the NFL. But day to day betting, I'm not a heavy volume guy. I'll pick one or two plays that I really like and bet them. And I don't bet every day. However, when I'm on a big run like this in the UFC 16-2, I go on multiple runs throughout the year. You want to limit the volume and especially limit the outcome plays. I find, like, for example, the Arman fight, I was going to take the decision play at plus 175, and Arman ended up cutting him. Would he have finished the fight if he didn't cut him? Possibly. Probably a TKO ground and pound finish. So that's one example there. You want to limit the volume. So when you're in a big, when you're on a big streak or in any sport, right? That's what works for me. I don't know if you guys really go on big runs. If you don't, sign up here. I'll get you on some big runs. But If you don't, then you don't really have to worry about it for your new handicappers. But that's what works for me, limiting my volume when I'm on big runs. And it has to hit all points that you look for in the system. I look for 3 or 4 different things that make it a bet. But sometimes I'll have smaller units that will hit, that I'll put out for clients that are not hitting all 4 things that I look for, maybe 3 or 2, and I'm still willing to place the bet because I like a lot of things. There's maybe just one thing that didn't hit my criteria for a full unit play or a best bet at 2 unit play. So those I'll limit more. At this time when I'm on a big run. Let's get a weekly update, guys. Let's get into the weekly update here. Just bear with me. Rolling in all sports right now. We are rolling in all sports right now. Weekly update, you guys know 16-2 run in the UFC. Longer term, that's what matters. 72-38. Longer term run right now, guys, in the UFC. 65% best bets. That's over 2.5 years. So that longer term run, you're looking at, I think, a little over than 6 months, around that. What's that percentage? I think 64, 65, maybe even 66%. I didn't do the math pre-hand, but yeah, 65% best bets over. And we're over 47 units right now in the UFC. Close to that 50 mark. PGA running hot in the PGA as well. 5th straight profitable card for clients. 69% best bets. One pending this weekend. We have a big card this weekend at the Arnold Palmer, and over 73 units in profit, guys. Over 73 units in profit. Find me a golf handicapper with these numbers. I'll love to see it. Also 6 outrights in 22 events. We are still waiting for the first outright of 2022. NBA, back-to-back winning nights in the NBA. 2-0 this week with a push. Winner last week with the Pacers and a good bounce-back spot. 66% on the year, guys, in the NBA. And that's over 60 bets. I think 65 to 70 bets there. And then over 13 units in profit. NHL, 65% NHL season. Lower volume in the NHL. Picking my spots in the NHL. If you bet NHL every day, it's not going to be pretty. So I'm great at picking spots in the NHL. We had a 65% NHL season last year. Remember, it was higher volume, lower volume on the units this year. NFL reminder, I got to do it, guys. I got to do it. It is my main sport, some people will say. However, all sports are very profitable, as you can see that I just went over. But, let's remind everyone on the solid year. Now, let's hear from my good friend Meredith before we get into the main card breakdown.
Guys, Meredith Gorman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Let's get right into this card, guys. Shop around for best price. Remember, this is not the best price. Shop around for that. Have multiple books, like I tell you guys all the time. Don't just have one book and rely on one book. Have 4, 5, 6, 7 different books. I have books that I use in US and Canada. So I have tons of options on books. Sure, I move to use 1 or 2 that I really like more because they have more options, but I use tons of books all the time. Main event, guys. Let's get into the main event. The main event we've been waiting for a long time. Covington minus 320 versus Jorge Masvidal plus 250. Two guys that really don't like each other. You don't find that often. Like, you see a lot of, built up aggression throughout the weeks, and they're trying to build the fight, like Usman beef with these two. It wasn't too real. I think maybe more real with Covington and Usman. But after Covington went up to Usman and said, good fight, that's not happening here, guys. That is not happening here with these two. This is real beef. If you don't often see that. I can't really think too much. I know John Jones, DC don't like each other. That was one. I can't really think off the top of my head when there's real beef. These Usman beefs with these two weren't real. It wasn't real. They didn't like each other, sure, but these two actually hate each other. And there's documents to tell you that. And if you guys have been living under a rock, I'll quickly go over. I don't want to get too much into it, but both guys have been having this feud for a while, and it's mainly because Jorge's saying, Colby is cheap, it's more of a money thing with Jorge to Colby, and obviously the fake persona that Colby puts out. But it's Jorge saying, Colby lived rent-free at his house, but he didn't have no money, so I don't know how he was going to pay there. Colby's saying he lived on his wife's couch, Jorge's wife's couch or girlfriend at the time, so it's different. Jorge's saying that he owes gambling debts through poker, and now he's also saying how he didn't pay his training striking coach, and that's the main thing here that Jorge is getting back at. He's calling him out. Obviously, Colby's going back and forth, bringing up his family, how he's a deadbeat dad, etc. It's getting ugly. And these two were close friends. They trained a lot together, obviously at American Top Team, and then they had to split the American Top Team. Jorge now is actually back at American Top Team, but now Colby moved to MMA Masters. I'm interested in the press conference here. It is going to be tonight. I am filming this on Thursday morning, so we're going to see the press conference obviously tonight. I'm definitely excited for that. It's going to be the most anticipated press conference in a while. But let's talk about the matchup and styles. Not the greatest matchup for Jorge Masvidal, right? There's no secret here. Colby's style is to chain wrestle, to wear you down and wrestle. And his striking has improved a ton, right? Is it boring? It could be, right? But if he dominates, on the ground, finds the TKO finish, I wouldn't say it is, right? Colby's striking has improved a ton. However, I would lean Masvidal, right? I give Masvidal the better striking credentials. Even though he's a little older now and out of his prime, I don't think he moves as quickly as he used to. And I do think Colby's striking has improved, and he does have a ton of volume, but I'd still lean Masvidal with the power, and he has that one knockout ability. That's his only path, guys. Let's be honest. Masvidal's not winning a decision. It's very hard to see Masvidal winning a decision here, even though I do think this fight could go to the decision. But I think if it does go to decision, Colby wins this fight. And he wins this fight because he's mixing it up. He's mixing with the striking, but he's also mixing it up with the ground and pound and the takedowns. So the way Masvidal wins this fight, I personally think it has to be by finish, TKO finish, or a knockout. And we've never seen Colby Covington get knocked out. The only time we have, it's been a TKO, and it's with Usman, right? They stopped it, but if I recall, he was on his feet. But he got knocked down later in that, and Usman was a TKO, wasn't a knockout. So Colby's never been knocked out. Can Masvidal knock out Colby later in his career? I don't see it. So it's very difficult to see how Masvidal wins this fight, in my opinion, just because he has less pass, right? Colby could knock out Masvidal. It's possible, but I don't think it would be a clear knockout. Colby doesn't have that power, but he does have the TKO ability finish, right? And that's what I could see here. I could see, later in the fight, the round 4 or 5, where Colby's just continuing to wear Jorge down, and he just gets the ground and pound stoppage and the ref jumps in. I can definitely see that. Or I can see just unanimous decision by Colby. He just wins, all rounds, or at least maybe, 4 rounds, 3 rounds even possibly. But I do see Colby winning this fight, guys. It's just how you're going to bet it. You're not going to lay 320 on it. It is definitely a good parlay piece here. And it definitely, if you're going to look at an outcome, I lean the decision, because Colby's been talking about it all the past little while now, that he wants to, not just knock him out because you can get lucky off the knockout. He wants to wear you down for 5 rounds, and that's what he's good at. That's what he's best at. He is the best fighter in this division minus Usman. Unfortunately, Usman's in front of him, and there's nothing he can do about that until maybe Usman leaves this division or he retires or whatever the case may be. But Colby's unfortunate that he just runs into a guy that really no one can beat in Usman. And Colby was close. He was close in a couple of those fights, especially the second one where, some people did have it for him, even though I did think he didn't do enough to take the title. So I'll be looking at Colby in some factor here. It will make my betting card this weekend. I just haven't decided as of yet if it's going to be an outcome play. Is it going to be both? Is it going to be Colby Covington in a mixed parlay, 2-fight parlay? We will see. But I do expect Colby Covington to win this fight. Next fight is the co-main that I talked about. Surprisingly, still 5 rounds. Dos Anjos minus 175 versus Moicano plus 250. Now, this was supposed to be Fiziev, right? But he got COVID. So in comes Rafael Moicano, who's saving the day, and he just fought too. He just fought. He's taking this on 5-day short notice. This was supposed to be Makhachev. It could have been Makhachev. Even Dana White just said in an interview yesterday, they thought they had it done. But I don't know what happened there. Probably money, I'm guessing. But, this should be a good fight. Battle between two Brazilians. Both guys have great grappling. When that happens, usually you do see some, more striking, which, I guess I would lean Dos Anjos as a better striker, but it's close. It's close. Both guys great on the ground, and I think the path for Moicano to win this fight would be to get the takedowns. We've seen that can be Dos Anjos, kryptonite, if you will say. Even though Moicano is not a big wrestler, he's not really known for it, but he can take you down. He has the wrestling credentials. You can see it there in the takedowns as well. He does get takedowns in most fights. So I do think that will be his path. That will definitely be his path, but it's just a very tough number. I would have loved to see like a plus 200 on Moicano, but people are betting it. People are betting it after that very impressive performance versus Hernandez. Hernandez, a good fighter, but he has his downfalls when he steps up in competition, and that's what happened there. A nice victory for Moicano, and he is a live underdog here. I just don't think there's enough meat on the bone at plus 150 for me to take a chance here, and also the short notice. Right, there's a lot of question marks, and there's also question marks on Dos Anjos' side. He hasn't fought for a year and a half, and the last time he fought, it was against Felder, who stepped in the same type of situation. So it's really hard to gauge where Rafael Dos Anjos is right now. Very hard to gauge. He hasn't fought for a while. The last guy he fought was on short notice, and Felder did everything he could, right? But in Moicano, it's tough to say also because of the short notice. So this is a fight that, it's a head scratcher. It's tough to bet. I couldn't lay the price with Dos Anjos just because everything I mentioned. I would have to take a shot on Moicano if I was going to play this fight, but I would wait. It's just the problem is people are betting Moicano, so I don't think the line's going to be better than plus 150. I see some plus 140s out there. It's a tough fight to bet. It's not going to get my investment as of right now. The only thing I could say, if it's 5 rounds, I lean the under. Under 4.5, under 3.5 even maybe, but fight not to go the distance. If you can get a good price, I would definitely look that way. Barbosa plus 125 versus Bryce Mitchell. Yes, Mitchell is back minus 150. Some say there was some value with Barbosa here, and I don't disagree. I don't disagree with the value here at plus 125 on Barbosa. The experience level and fight resume is such a big difference compared to Mitchell, right? It's mind-boggling almost. Like, that's why I'm kind of, the minus 150 on Mitchell, I don't know, right? I can't lay that. It would have to be a shot on Barbosa or nothing. He's fought some of the best guys. Mitchell, he's fought Andre Fili. That's his best guy. And all the guys that he's fought, in my opinion, have been to his style. They could not wrestle. So Mitchell is able to just get this fight to the ground. Sure, he can get Barbosa to the ground. He's not a wrestler, but his takedown defense is pretty solid. But we know how this fight's going to be playing out, guys. It's not rocket science. It's Mitchell's going to look for the takedown. And if he can't get it, he's in big trouble because Barbosa is a much better striker than Mitchell. So that's how this fight's going to play out. Can Barbosa keep it on the feet and use his striking to beat Mitchell? Mitchell's striking has improved, yes. But is it good enough to stand with Barbosa? No. So if Mitchell can get this fight to the ground, I think he can win this fight. Can he keep it there? That's the big question as well. This is a fight that's not going to get my investment. I would look at the underdog price if I had to bet it on Barbosa due to the fight resume and the experience. And Mitchell has not fought anybody, even though he's been looking very impressive in his fights. Can he keep Barbosa down and keep continuing to chain wrestle to get him down and maybe look for a submission is the question? I don't know. Right? So that's going to be the main focus here. I lean Barbosa due to the price, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mitchell continues to look good in the UFC and get a big win here. This will be his biggest win, definitely, in the UFC. Kevin Holland minus 330 versus Oliveira plus 260. You know, I never thought I would see Kevin Holland this big of a favorite again, but here we are. I understand why he's favorite, and he should be. However, the price is off here where I cannot bet Holland at this price. You know, the level of competition, obviously, for Kevin Holland as a late is a big difference compared to Oliveira, right? Oliveira just... his only path here, in my opinion, is try to wrestle, and he's just not a wrestler compared to, you know, the guys Kevin Holland was losing to, like Brunson and Vittori. Obviously use that size to keep him down. It's just Oliveira, you haven't seen the wrestling much from him as of late. You know, I see him striking with guys for the most part, but the thing that really catches my eye and why I do think Holland will actually win this fight is just the price is kind of buying me out here. You know, he's been training with Johnny Hendricks, one of the best MMA wrestlers. So that... and it did show a bit in his last fight where it was a no decision. You know, I do think that's going to help here, and I don't think Oliveira is good enough and not good enough wrestler to win this fight. So, you know, I can see Kevin Holland win this fight on the feet. Obviously, he's going to win on the feet. He's a better striker, but I could see this fight getting down to the ground and Holland maybe finding a submission. Great black belt, Holland, right? So. Travis Luter black belt. So what I can see here is maybe a possible submission. You can get a great plus money on a submission play if you want to bet that. Oliveira's been submitted twice in his last 3 fights. Keep that in mind, guys. And to open up the main card, not a fight I'm too excited about, but it is opening up the main card. It is a little bit interesting. Spivak minus 220 versus Hardy plus 180. You know, it's a mid-tier heavyweight fight, which I like to stay off, guys. You know how I feel about these fights. Spivak, you know, his game plan should be get this to the ground and wrestle. There's no secret about that. Hardy, you know, he's kind of in a bind here. I think he loses this fight, he gets cut. He has lost his last 2 fights. And if he can keep this fight on the feet, that's going to be his path. He can maybe find a KO. He's going to have a big athleticism advantage here over Spivak. It's huge. So if he can keep this fight standing, he has a good chance to cash his plus 180 dog ticket. It may even get the plus 200. If it gets his plus 200, I may have to have a small play on it. But, you know, this is Hardy. He's just not well-rounded. He's 7-4 for a reason. Spivak has looked good. He's been pulling off some nice wins. And if he gets his fight to the ground, he easily wins this fight, guys. He easily wins this fight. So keep that in mind. That will do it. That will do it for this card. I'm excited for this card, especially the main event, not overall, but definitely excited for this card. Check out my website if you want this full card and all sports. We're running hot on all sports right now. That will do it, guys. Like I always say, bet smart and know your limits. Take care.